Everybody, Evan here with the2musician.com. Thanks for showing up to this live. Hopefully that intro video went through fine. New software streaming software, live streaming software that I'm using here, and so this was a learning curve. So hopefully that intro video played there. I'm able to get this camera hooked up here, this mic, as well as the interface. So we've got all kinds of inputs here, so hopefully we don't have any technological difficulties or anything that just craps out on me. So I just want to thank you for clicking on this video, for showing up, and if you click the notify button for this live, thank you very much. It means a lot to me, all the support here. So today we're just going to be going over solos, and I've talked about a lot of the same things that we'll be talking about today in several of my videos. So if you haven't checked out any of the videos for like fill creations, the linear drumming, the paradiddles and inverted paradiddles, which is the part of the Fill Factory series, definitely check those out. Those are going to be your best bet, especially in terms of everything we're talking about today and how similar fills are to solos behind the drums. I know if you are in a position where you feel, the solos, the idea, the very thought of the word scare you, and I know exactly what that feels like. I know from personal experience, you're looking at a solo, or you think about a solo, or someone expects you to do a solo, and you just freeze. You're like, I really don't know what to do. I don't know what you want me to do. So in this video today, we're going to break that down, and just really, this is beneficial whether you just started drumming, or even if you've been drumming for a little bit and you're just looking at getting better at solos. So all of this we're going to tie together to the fill creation videos that I did previously, and then also as far as the live streams, but then also the ones that I've uploaded to YouTube. And so in this video, it's just going to be helpful information, and then if you got any questions here, I'm looking at the chat, the live chat, so I'm not going to be able to look at it while I'm drumming and while we're talking about this, but ever so often I will pivot over here and try to answer your questions. So let's talk about drum solos here. I'm going to take a drink really quick. And really with drum solos, the number one thing that we're going to be talking about, and I'm not like Buddy Rich or anything. I'm not Thomas Lang. I'm not like Tony Royster Jr. I'm not any of these great drummers or whatever. But these things I've used, and they work in my own drumming, and they work for what needs to get done. And so as a drummer, you're expected to be that powerhouse for the band that you're playing for, or the tracks that you're being recorded on, whatever it is. They're looking to you as like the train conductor almost of the song. And so these things here, like I said, I'm not Thomas Lang or any of these really great drummers that we all look up to, but I can guarantee that these things will help you if you implement them, especially with a regular practice routine. So the number one thing that we want to think about with drum solos is phrases, is coming back to specific phrases. And I talked about this in the last video. And what that can mean is really any amount of phrasing behind the drums. And I'll just show you something that could be considered that right now, and kind of tie it together with what I'm getting at here. Right there, that's a phrase. And I'm counting 8 bars there, and that leads me to point number 2, which is starting with 8 counts. We like to think about solos, and we're like, man, I got to come up with this 128 bar solo by next week. I don't know if I can do it. We have a show we got to play. That's impossible. that you're already thinking about it wrong. And that's a very intimidating way to look at it. And starting with the phrases in mind, which I was just doing that bum bum bum, counting out eights, which is the point number 2. We're gonna start with 8 counts because it's easy to think about solos in terms of a billion measures, but really a solo is just any amount of measures where it's like the focus is on you or whoever the musician may be, whether it's a drum solo, guitar solo, piano solo, even a vocal lick, and any sort of a transition vocally by, a vocalist itself could be considered a solo. So when we're doing the phrases, the point of those is to come back to the phrase. So it's like, as I was counting out the 8 count, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4, 5, 6, helps to count that out with a hi-hat. But as you're doing that, you have 8 counts there. And I've talked about in the fills video, in terms of half measure fills, full measure fills, 2 measure fills, or whatever. It's the same thing here. We have that bum, 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 and then we have 6 beats afterwards before we come back to that phrase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you're coming back to it. So I want to introduce this to you in a way where it's like you're not overwhelmed by it. So if we have the phrase there, we're counting out 8 beats. What can you do in between those before you have to come back to it? And the point of those phrases is to really help your rhythm as a drummer. It's going to help your internal clock. Even some things that I'm like getting lost in that. But if you think about it in terms of phrases and you're like, dude, what you just did, like I'm not going to do that. I want to be able to, for it to make sense to me. And so if you have just started out drumming, what you can do in between those is, what rudiments do you know? Have you been practicing your single strokes? Do those in between them. Paradiddles, double stroke rolls, and they don't have to be really fast. Right there, I was just doing single stroke rolls, some double stroke rolls, and then also some paradiddles. And as you noticed, I was also doing some dynamics. I was starting out the solo, a bum bum bum, and then starting a little quieter, dialing it back a little bit, and then crescendoing, getting louder, and then on top of that, as I mentioned, you're filling the 8 count there. You're filling it out with single stroke rolls, with double stroke rolls, with paradiddles. But where can you pull back? I talked about that in the last live that I did with fill creation. Where can you be quiet at? Because that is really, that suspense is music too. That suspense is a part of your solo. So as drummers, we just get so used to playing. Man, I want to like... we get so used to like we just want to play, and I get it. Like it's fun to play fast. It's fun to play just full, swing and motion songs where you're just like smashing your cymbals and your drums. It's a lot of fun. But where can you draw back? Where can you like just doing stuff like doing that? You're opening up those 8 bars for your solo, and you're able to create that suspense, which adds like another layer. Because say if you did 4 you did 8 counts, you did 4 of those. And you started off, doing where you're leaving more space, you're withdrawing yourself like I was just doing. And then towards the end of those, you may start to do more. So an example would be, right there, I started off that solo. Each was 8 counts. We did 4 of those, and I was more open with the theme of bum bum bum, da bum 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 bum, let that duh 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 duh, like, and vocalizing those things. It is one of those things where you're like, what the heck? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you making those noises? But when you vocalize your drum parts like that, even with those solos, it's going to help you out a lot. So some things that you may be like, oh, what could I do there? If you just kind of start, step away from the drums and go, bum, 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 blah, bum, bucka, blah, bum, 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 ka, bum, bum. And it sounds weird, I know it, but it works. And so we're going to do what works. And so for those, we went bum, 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 slowly added in some more stuff. And then we got more, we did more. We were more busy at the end of the 4 8 counts, and that's essentially kind of how solos are even built. I feel like a lot of people wonder how to build or how to end their solos. I've noticed that is a question that's common among drummers, and one of those things that you should be looking at before you even question how to end a solo is, how do I structure my solo? How do I start my solo? And starting your solo with the least amount with the least amount of playing, it's going to help you that much more, because you're going to have somewhere to go. If you start a solo off and it's all right to do that. There's nothing wrong, and there's no right or wrong way. I feel like I always have to say that with the videos, because people are like, you don't have to do that in the comments, and it's like, I'm not saying you have to do something or you don't have to do something. What I'm saying is, drummers wonder how to end their solos, and a really good way of doing that is just starting off your solo doing less and building up, and then ending the solo with doing more, as I was doing there. So it's fun to do solos and just go crazy and do whatever the whole time. But if you're just starting out or you're not very comfortable with solos, withdrawing and then sprinkling in those drum parts where it makes sense, and really, like, you could just do so much with that if you just kind of sit there and just keeping time with your hi-hat and just doing that phrase over and over again. So really, phrases to come back to, and there are a ton of phrases. I'm using this one specifically as an example, but there are even other things you want to do too. There are other things that you can do to that as well. If you don't want to do the tom thing, I mean, you could do something where your solo is centered more around maybe a beat. And so something that you could do is, I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head, is something like that. So in that instance, being able to do that and then doing that vocalization again, but being able to come back to that hi-hat. A light touch to crescendo is magic. Dude, yeah. Thanks for the comment. Exactly, yeah. The crescendo, like just being able to do those dynamics within your solos, it's going to help out that much. And so I feel like that's something that is easy to overlook because maybe it's not as fun, or maybe it's perceived as not being as fun because we just want to play really fast, or we just want to be really busy all the time. And so dialing it back, building up, playing less, and incorporating more as you go. And then, yeah, as Swindle Max said, a light touch to crescendo is magic. So, I mean, right there, too, using that, like, and even, whether it be you start off soft and then just build up, or it's like a, really loud, like, and then you right after that, it's like more or less like a snare hit. Like being able to do that and just kind of, being able to surf the dynamics there. I don't know another analogy for that. Surfing the dynamics. We're going with that. And so doing those things, phrases to come back to, whether it's the tom, dun, 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 or the starting with 8 counts. But then from there, I mean, expanding upon that, because 8 counts is really not a whole lot. 2 measures really. And so what if we doubled that? We could do 4 measures, and maybe we just keep the same phrase and we want to come back to that. So and that's really where you're going to have to, as you extend the amount of measures that you're doing there, it's going to be something you have to keep track of, because it's easy to get lost in that, and you just want to do so much, and then you're like, oh crap, I'm a beat off, or I didn't come in time. I played an extra 16th note or whatever it is. Excuse me. And so doubling that, instead of 8 going to 16, So, as obviously, as I mentioned, I'm not going to keep repeating that, but you're going to have to pay attention to where you're at within that counting, because it is really easy to get lost. And so I recommend, as always, here, practicing with a metronome, practicing with that click track. It's going to help you. Obviously, practice without it too, and a lot of ways that drummers will recommend, and I do too, like, are starting off slow, building up the speed, and then slowing back down. And you'll see things like that in, I forget what book it is, but it's that sticking book that's for snare drummers. I thought I had it down here, but I guess I don't. That is a phenomenal book, and it mentions practice tips in there. But related to that, I'm mentioning not getting lost, not getting too carried away if you are doubling the amount of time that you're counting for that phrasing, and for coming back to that, whatever it is, whether it's the bum, 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 or the hi-hat. And I mean, there's other things you can do too, more intricate phrases to come back to. But something else that you can do really is progressively doing things, and I'm looking down at my notes here, just doing things that seem difficult for you, slowly, and I just mentioned that too, slowly sprinkling in more advanced stuff, making it difficult. So I mentioned, if you're just starting out, hey, do single stroke rolls between, bum, 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 right, left, right, left, right, left, right, paradiddles, double stroke rolls. But then even the linear drumming, if that's something you're not comfortable with there, put that in there. That's going to help you out. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You're building up anyways here. So this is just for your personal practice, and as you practice these things, even over a couple weeks, and you start to jam with, your musicians or in your band or at church, they're gonna notice. They're gonna be like, oh man, like, okay, like sounds like you've been like working on some stuff, and that's always when you're working on stuff and other people point it out. I mean, there's nothing better than that. I know it can get boring sitting down behind the drums practicing mundane things over and over and over and over and over again, but there's nothing that you can do that's going to help you get better at drums other than that. So you just have to get used to how that is. But doing the phrasing. Even crescendos, are getting softer for the phrases, and doing those quieter. But sprinkling in that bass drum with the linear drumming. I messed that one up. Try that again. So, sprinkling in the linear drumming there. If you're not comfortable with it, definitely check out the video that I did going over that. Linear drumming's in the Phil's Factory series. There are 2 videos so far. But the next thing that I talked about were inverted paradiddles and doubles. And that's really what I was doing there with it. But it's like right, left, kick, or, kick, left, right. And being able to implement those inverted paradiddles and doubles and even regular paradiddles with that linear drumming to open it up even more as far as the flow that you are able to achieve behind the drums. And then other rudiments. I did a video talking about flams. Oh, shoot, dude. Ooh, see that? I just, like, jam my stick into my, like, under my fingernail, dude. Oh, I'm, like, doing... So being able to do flams, I did a video going over flams. Do flams. Like, do those rudiments that seem really boring. I mean, like, the drag rudiments. They're not boring to me, but a lot of people may see, I don't want to do a flam. Flams are fun. Do them and learn them because they're going to help your solos. So, like, getting away from the right, left, incorporating more rudiments, doing the linear with the rudiments, and then also talked about this in other videos. It's, stick control. That's exactly... That's the book I'm talking about. And I thought I had it down here. So Swindle Mac in the comments. I wonder if there's a way for me to... Well, I'm trying to Yeah, you're right. It's called Stick Control. And I have it around here somewhere. Oh, no, it's a different one. That's the Benny Greb book I'm looking at. I'm looking at a Benny Greb one over there. Yeah, so Stick Control, it's definitely one to check out. But something else that you can do, I'm talking about more advanced stuff with your drumming is mixed subdivisions. So if we're doing that bum 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 bucka ticka bucka ticka, at the end of it, or even the beginning, what about sprinkling in some sextuplets there, some 16-note triplets. So like bum bum bum. Even that, we're pulling out. We're not doing a lot there. We're leaving the space open. Bum 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 bum. Dicka 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 dun dun dun. So just being able to do those things and open up your drumming. But I definitely recommend like starting with what you know, but then also as I don't want to be contradictory here. I mentioned opening up and doing more advanced stuff at the end. And so you should be doing the things that you know how to do, but then you should also be pushing past, those plateaus. I'm always talking about that. Pushing past where your comfort level is and just doing things like, man, I'm not comfortable doing paradiddles. Maybe you're not comfortable doing linear drumming, or you're getting used to that. So definitely pushing past those. I'm trying to think of some ways. This is really going to help you, though. Counting it out. It's not only going to help your solos. This video is about solos. This stuff really relates a lot to drum fills, too, and drum beats. And I kind of like the way I approach everything now is I kind of look at it the same lens. It's like everything is just based off of what, how many beats that we're counting. So in terms of, fills and I mean, beats are something that's obviously like, there's so many different cool beats that you can learn. And that's something that I'm still pushing past, but being able to just count things out. Like, what is it that this is? Like, in the context of songs, because everything really is anyways. But, it's the Bible. Heck yeah, dude. So, like, being able to really, push past those things that you're having trouble with and everything. I kind of lost my train of thought there. But it's going to help you out. It's going to help yourself. Oh, the context of songs. That's what it was. So just being able to count things out, it's going to help you out. If we're just looking at, hey, how many measures do I have here? Oh, we're playing this song. Hey, I have 8 beats to work with. Okay, what can I do in those 8 beats? We just did a ton of those things. And so I'm mentioning, these are solos thing, but you could do those as fills if you wanted to. Like if you're just playing a song and you have an 8 count 2 measure fill or whatever. You can do those solos, like anything that we're talking about in the solos. And if you go back and watch the Phil's Factory series videos that I have, but then even the last live that I did going over fill creation, I think that's a really valuable video, and it really relates to what we're doing here because you're able to apply the things that you do in fills in solos and vice versa. And so it's really helpful to help you with your drum chops. And so that's one of those things that I talk about a lot here. And my goal is to help you as a drummer. And so I hope that these tips have been helpful for you. If you want to get better at drumming, in the description below, it's not there yet, but it will be in the description below. There are, I feel like I'm screaming. There's a link to some of my courses, drum courses, whether you want to get better at linear drumming. We got a little product for that. Whether you want to get better at double stroke rolls, you want to get faster with your weaker hand. I have a drum fills program. But also, if you want to take live lessons with me, or you need coaching for drums or music, email me at evan@attunemusician.com and we'll get something set up for you. But that was this video. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. I'm glad that Swindle Mac he says the drums sound great. And so that's good. We got everything hooked up here. It was a little different system. So yeah, we were going to do 3 cameras. I only decided to do this one. And this one, I didn't figure that we needed my laptop camera. I feel like that's probably too much for the screen resolution size and everything. But if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, so that way you're notified every single time we upload a video here. I always try to say that as fast as possible anytime I record videos for YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, like this video. All these things will also help my channel out and helps the YouTube algorithm be able to push these videos out to helpful, to where it may be helpful to other drummers, other musicians. So definitely I would appreciate you sharing this video. If you could like it, that would help out a lot as well. Subscribe, hit the bell notification. But yeah, with that being said, check out the link in the descriptions to those products that will help you with your drumming. Also, email me at evan@attunemusician.com if you're interested in some lessons and that's pretty much it. So with that being said, stay tuned, and we will put out another live video at some point. I'll announce something, but we're going to stop this. So thanks again for